Welcome, everyone. Today is our board interview. You've tuned into the work session of the Aspen-Pitkin County City of Aspen. I'm sorry, I see a new screen down here. For our board interviews, and we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate all the people who've offered their service and are going to be interviewed. It's always a kind of a tough process. There's a lot of questions, and but we're so excited to see so many citizens here reapplying as well as applying. We depend upon the citizens of this. We depend on the citizens of this community to shoulder an awful lot of responsibility and give us advice and try to make the systems better for all of us. So thank you very much, and we do have a set order here. I'll just read that out, and then we'll start at the top, but we'll be talking to Aspen-Pitkin County Animal Shelter Board, the Aspen Recreation Center Advisory Board, the Building Code Board of Appeals, the Board of Adjustment, the Historic Preservation Commission, the Kids First Advisory Board, the LLA, and I had that down here as the Local Licensing Authority, Open Space, and Planning and Zoning Commission. So you can see there are a great number of boards that do assist this council and the city government in keeping things running smoothly. Is Megan Ruby here for, there she is, hiding behind Ann Mullins. Why don't you come on up? You're the first board we're going to be interviewing.
Did I drop something again?
Oh, are you applying as well, Ann?
Well, you just said my name.
Oh, I was hiding behind you.
Oh, I said she was hiding behind you.
I was going to ask you if this was open space and
no,
trails.
no. I'm sorry. I didn't see Megan because she was behind you.
Sorry.
Thank you. That's okay. That's okay. It's these microphones everywhere. Well, welcome to the City Council chamber.
Thank you.
And I believe we've all looked over your application. Why don't you tell us a little about yourself and your interest in the animal shelter?
Sure, absolutely. Animal welfare has always been a passion of mine, one of my greatest passions, and a topic I feel like I fully understand after committing hours to animal rescue groups, shelters, and nonprofit boards for about 25 years. I really want to get involved in the community here in Aspen after moving here last June, and I would love to be a part of the Aspen Animal Shelter Advisory Board. I have known Seth since 1997. I have helped in some capacity at the Aspen Animal Shelter and been involved working on a passion project that's a community event that's going to take place October 11th called the Ruby Rescue Run, and 100% of the net proceeds will benefit the Aspen Animal Shelter. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you. I'm going to open up to board members for questions. John?
I guess I'll just go at the standard. Are you aware of how often they meet and what times?
Yes, they meet the fourth Thursday of the third month of each quarter.
Perfect.
Very good. And you have the time to commit?
Absolutely, I do, yeah.
Okay, that's great. Any questions on this side of the table?
No questions, just I know you'd be great at this. One spot, one perfect person. This should be easy.
Thanks, Sam.
Our easiest one. We do not have any competition for this spot and appreciate you bringing your past experience and your enthusiasm to the animal shelter. As we all know, they do a great job out there, and Seth is just lucky to have a good advisory board. So we appreciate you being there.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks.
Now, the next item up will be the ARC Advisory Board, and we will have Dan Michelas. Michaels. It's spelled a little weird here. Michaels.
Yeah, there's an I in there, no A.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for coming up. And I noted that you are applying for the Open Space and Trails Board as well.
That is correct.
So we might kind of combine these interviews if you'd like,
Yeah.
and be able to do two. We've read your resume, and it looks like you have a deep history in recreation. So please give us an introduction. How would you like to proceed?
Yeah, so my name's Dan. I've been out here for the last 4 years when I took a job over with the town of Snowmass Village, where I currently am the recreation center manager, so overseeing the entire operational budget for the department and everything that happens in the facility. I live in downtown Aspen, where I moved here in January of last year, so I want to expand on my impact in the Upper Valley, specifically here in Aspen. I'm already doing it in Snowmass Village, and I just really want to be more involved with the community and help out in any way that I can. I'm currently also a part of the Roaring Fork Outdoor Coalition Community Advisory Board as well. So just trying to build on my resume, build on my experience here, hoping to potentially be sitting in one of these spots in the future.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Board member, questions?
Do you prefer the ARC board versus the other one you applied to?
Ideally, I think being an avid trail user in the area, I would like to be a part of the open space board, but the ARC board, it's a big interest of mine because I enjoy using the facility currently, and I see there's a potential to kind of build on it and offer more to the community here, and I'd like to have a say in that if possible.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks. Dan, could you elaborate a little bit more on that? Like what sort of things would you advocate for in your seat on the ARC board if you were appointed?
For the ARC board, I think creating more access and moving things around in the facility, potentially with like some kind of redesign plan for the main floor, that entrance. There's a potential to expand on the cardio area and the weight room. I know the weight room's downstairs where it can be a little crammed. It's a little tight in there. And I just see like there's a couple little tweaks throughout the facility that I think can be made, and I think it would really benefit the community a lot.
Thanks.
You have a very diverse group of people that frequent here, who live here, who are locals, who are part-time residents, anyone from Olympians to high-endurance athletes to people that are just getting into working out and are just trying to lead a healthier lifestyle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Questions on this side of the table?
I don't have any questions. I'm impressed you want to live, breathe, and eat open or recreation.
I've been doing it for 34, going to be 35 this year. I've been doing it since I was 16 and a half. I have a background working with the city of Denver in Parks and Recreation, running the citywide sports department, which is the largest adult sports department in the state, as well as running recreation centers there. And I just want to continue to expand on that.
Great. John?
Are you aware of the meeting times and how often they meet?
I was just trying to look it up. I am not familiar with how often it meets. I believe it's probably once a month. I would like to learn more about that.
Great. But you do have time in your schedule to make it work. Great.
Thank you. The only question I really had, and it's very open-ended, it's not meant to imply anything,
Yeah.
but would you see any conflict of interest between the Snowmass Center and the Aspen Arc in terms of programming or trying to do fundraisers or anything like that?
Before I applied for this and was looking into it, I brought it to my director and other people with the town of Snowmass Village, and I was like, hey, is this a conflict of interest? And they did not believe so, and I don't think it would be either. I mean, the real only conflict would be if I applied for a job with the city of Aspen or tried to work for Picken County or something like that. So currently, I really don't believe
Okay.
so.
I didn't think so either, but I wanted to have that out on the table and have you a chance to answer that.
Absolutely.
Okay. I will say that we do have a person who's going to be reapplying for their current position, and I am wondering, is the one alternate open in addition to the person reapplying, or is that just reapplying for the alternate position? And I'm looking to the staff behind Ann Mullins
I think it says 2 regular members on our
on
packet.
open space,
Oh, on open space,
on the
sorry.
open space.
Sorry.
All of the openings are right next to the name.
Okay, so there's
Those are
just,
the actual openings.
okay, those are the actual openings. I was just going to say, for me, with your experience in recreation, and that there's 2 openings looking for members at the ARC, whereas we have one kind of currently serving member reapplying for her position
Okay.
on open space and trails, it's more likely to end up being the ARC Advisory Board. It's always a little awkward because we advertise all the positions when the terms come up. And so people can think, oh, it's a true opening. But sometimes there's a reapplying member who's served well, and it's a little bit of a disadvantage to compete with that and try to bring in new talent and have a reason to let someone else go. So it was very nice to see that you shared your interest in serving the community in more than one location.
Yeah.
So I'll just let it go with that.
Cool.
No other questions from the board? No. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, and if you'd like to stay for the open space review again, you can. It's later down the agenda.
Might as well.
Okay. Anthony Green is going to be online. It says applying virtually, reapplying.
He's not there.
He's not there yet. Maybe we're just moving faster than ones in the past. Is Yasmin Tiger here yet? No, oh, she withdrew. I'm sorry. I didn't see that. It wasn't on my earlier sheet. So Board of Adjustments. Do we have anybody here for that board yet?
Andrew.
Andrew's online?
I'm online, yes.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. It's still getting used to the computerized system here, Andrew. Thank you for reapplying. We've all been looking at the resumes, and thank you for sending in all the information. Do you have any kind of opening comments you'd like to make to the board?
I would just say I've been doing this now for 8 years. I've really enjoyed it and participating in the community and helping as many people as possible that come before us. I think the one thing I've learned, which I said 4 or 5 years ago, which is everything moves smoothly when people come to our board. We've got a great group that we work with. I would just say I think one of the biggest holdups and bottlenecks, I think for CommDev and us, is just a lot of the old regulations that are antiquated at this point, where Aspen is versus where it was 60, 70 years ago. So that's what I would say, and hopefully I can continue and do this for another 4 years.
Thank you. Thank you for applying. And just to follow up on that, are you perhaps referring to design review guidelines for the kind of community character guidelines and wanting to not follow those, or when applicants do not want to follow those?
No, not at all. I'm referring to the things that make it hard, that present hardships. And listen, sometimes those are unforeseen, and there are exceptions to every rule. I think one of the cases that came before us about 5, 6 years ago, there was a group on North Middle that needed to remove a snow pile from a parking space, and it took 5 years and $500,000 to do so. And they had to come in front of us. I'm talking about things like that are more one-offs, and then and perhaps specific codes that were written in the 1940s and 50s that are still part of the code that should be revisited.
Okay, thank you. I believe this council would appreciate any sort of memo that you'd like to send through your staff contact, and we'd be happy to take a look. We're always into streamlining things or finding out if things have outlived their original purpose.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'd be happy to do that.
Other board questions or comments?
No, thanks, Andrew, for your service and for reapplying. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you, Bill.
Absolutely, appreciate that.
Thank you,
And,
Rachel.
You have a good one, and we will move right along.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Richards, would
Yes.
it be okay if we took just a little bit of time to try to get the video working for the room?
Okay. I was starting to wonder, we are not seeing ourselves on the screen or the applicants. We must be having a little bit of grassroots problems. So let's call a 5-minute recess.
There he is.
There you go.
Oh, wait, no, he showed up, but not us. Thanks, Andrew. You're looking well.
Showed up and I'm done.
Yeah, you're showing up. It's just the rest of the broadcast isn't, but thank you. So we will take a
Take care.
5-minute recess and give these guys a few minutes to try to fix that. Thank you. Thank you for our brief pause there. We are back to the City Council work session on June 2nd, true start of summer, and we will continue with our board interviews. Ashley Fedderson, is she online? Or she's not here yet. Not able to attend, but she is reapplying. Is Roger Moyer here yet? I think we're moving a little too quickly. Anna Speeson.
I have to withdraw because of my employment. I'm so sorry.
Oh, well, thank you for letting us know.
I'm bummed.
Try to get some other people involved. Thank you.
One less interview.
Yeah. Amos, you're up. This is moving so fast. This is for the local liquor license, local licensing authority.
Hello,
How are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for applying and sending in your resume and your history of involvement in the community. It's really outstanding. Would you like to give us a little introduction, and then we'll go into some questions?
Sure. I've been on the liquor board for, I think, 10 or 12 years now, and I've been chair since Bill Murphy passed. And finally have a full board to work with, and enjoy working with the staff, and everything's going along smoothly.
Very good. Thank you so much. Board members, questions or comments?
I have a question. I don't know if Amos is going to be able to answer it, but something I was thinking about in light of some recent news is, and this might be for staff or for Amos if they've talked about it, will the LLA be involved in any of the psychedelic treatment center regulation at all? Or we're not even offering local licensing for that, right? It's licensed at the state level?
It's a state level license. Your staff did come before you we can regulate it through our zoning code as to the location and time of when those facilities operate, which you did. But our board has no say in the licensing process. So I don't foresee those types of applications coming to the LLA.
At this point, yeah.
At this
Okay.
point, unless
Unless
the
recreational
legislature gives you some local control over it in the future, you could possibly look at handing the LLA that responsibility.
Perfect. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Other questions on this side of the table? No. Thank you.
Just comment.
Okay, John?
I just want to say I know Amos knows how this works very well. Thanks for reapplying.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah. Christine?
Yeah, thank you.
I would just ask, have you felt there have been some tough enforcement cases in this past term, not all the way back to the beginning, but just trying to think, this is such an important role in terms of youth drinking alcohol and having a weekly turnover of guests who come in from who knows where, and everyone looks a little too young for me anymore. So it just happens as you get older. But
As of late, we have had more than normal, I guess, infractions that have come through, but mainly it has to do with operating hours
okay.
and operating past 2 o'clock in the morning.
Have you had to take any disciplinary actions, or are these warnings, or?
We have everything from warnings to fines, no suspensions yet, but most everybody's been able to work with the city attorney's office to come to a solution thus far.
Thank you.
I will say that I think Denver has recently started asking about licensing in the streets, so I don't know if that'll come before us at some point, but I know it's happening in Denver at this point.
What does that mean, Amos?
Like in the 16th Street Mall area, numerous businesses
Like
have put together.
open consumption zones?
Correct.
Yep. Entertainment districts is what they're generally referred to in the code.
So I
Pardon me on the
can only
phone.
imagine that it might start showing up here at some point, or from certain businesses, but.
Yeah. And I think there was some legislation to potentially change hours this session that didn't go through.
Correct.
To allow late night service till dawn type of thing. So again, thank you for your service and helping out the community. I don't think there's any further questions.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Amos.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Okay. Ann Mullins, Open Space and Trails. Let me know if Anthony Green shows up for ARC. Virtual.
Hi.
Welcome, Ann. You've been in this room before a few times.
Yeah, once or twice.
Once or twice.
Nice to see all of you.
Thank you. You give us quite an impressive resume and an impressive bout of service on this board. We really appreciate that. And I'll invite you to give us a little intro or why you want to serve another term.
I was just going to say I've had many years to do all that service.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to see all of you tonight. I know each of you, I don't know if you read my resume. I can give you a quick summary again of my career. Yes? No?
A few highlights, I mean, this is for the viewing public as well, of who we choose to appoint, things like that, but feel free.
Yeah, I think the pertinent part is, well, first, I've been a landscape architect practicing for over 45 years, which is unbelievable to me, but I have. In the private sector and also in the public sector, back and forth. The important part of that is I've always focused on open space, public space, and ecological health of the landscape. And the reason I want to be on the Open Space and Trails Committee is I can bring that focus to the properties that the city of Aspen has and benefit the city of Aspen. The other thing that, and also just the experience with the city. I was on HPC for 8 years, at the council table for 8 years, and still working on a few projects with the city. So I think that is good experience to add to the landscape architecture experience. One of the things I'm really excited about is a few years ago, we worked very hard to pass the half-penny tax in perpetuity. So now we have some real stability to the open space system in terms of long-term strategic planning and just getting the current projects implemented. But it's a very, very exciting era that we're into. The other part of that, though, that is challenging is the next few years will probably be very challenging with the softening of the economy. In 27, the unpredictability that we're seeing right now in the economy. We'll have a lot of challenges. We're always going to have a bunch of opportunities, so we need to be ready to jump on those. So I think the next 2 to 4 years is going to be a challenging time, and I feel like my experience will be beneficial to the group.
Thank you for that. I would agree. Bill?
Hi, Ann.
Hi.
My only question, obviously know you reasonably well. Only question is, aren't you part of the grants steering committee?
I'm head of the
Go on.
grants steering committee.
You what?
I'm chair of the
You're
grants.
chair of it. Can you, is that an appointed role as well, and can you do both?
That would be a
Under the
question for
code, I don't
Kate.
know.
It is appointed.
It is appointed. My understanding is that the Grants Committee is a temporary board. So the prohibition that you can't serve on more than one board generally applies to permanent boards. Same with, I think you saw Ms. Speeson leave, employees cannot serve on permanent boards. And so the Grant Committee, I believe, is separate and distinct from a general advisory and/or decision-making board that's considered a permanent board for purposes of that rule.
Thank you. And why is the grants board a temporary board?
I was not part of developing the membership qualifications for that, so I can't speak to that. I can certainly look into it and provide some
And
information.
my question would be, should it now become a permanent board?
We can look into that.
My suspicion might be it's because we wanted some staff on that board at a certain point in time, and that's why it was temporary, but I don't know if we want that forever.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm asking this, Ann, is because I think you're doing a wonderful job in that role, so I don't want to
Well,
take you
thanks.
away from that.
No, and that's a good
Accidental.
question. I had never thought that through. And it did start with primarily staff, and now it's mostly citizens on the board. But that would be a good discussion, Kate,
Yeah.
whoever we need to discuss it with.
I have a feeling it's fairly new, and I think we did want input from various members, and we didn't want to preclude some of who we felt could be very valuable to that with those general rules that apply. That would be my guess, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that, but that'd be my only hesitancy, and is
Okay.
taking you away from that role.
Well, good to bring that up. We'll figure that out.
Nothing but praise for you. Thank you for
Well,
your
thank you,
service.
Sam.
So,
That's right.
Okay, and you obviously have the time to make the commitments, because you already have been.
She
Come on.
proves it day in and day out.
Any other questions or comments?
Just out of curiosity, what are some of the opportunities for open space? I know some of them perhaps aren't public, but
Well, there are some great things coming down. Like, the opportunities, when I was referring to that, unknown things, like when the Pride of Aspen came up, when the open space on Deer Hill came up. We need to always be ready to partner with whether it's county or GOCO or find new partners, but ready to jump on these unknown opportunities. Right now, what I'm looking forward to is being a landscape architect and liking engineering, I'm very much looking forward to addressing the aging infrastructure. And that's another economic challenge. We don't know what it'll cost, the impact that might have on the park's budget. But that's an opportunity to partner with developers, with other people in town, particularly on the mall. It was something we worked on, Jeff Woods and I worked on years ago, how to not have it just be solely a city cost, but be a shared cost for, and how we're going to do that will be really interesting. Opportunities, I see a great opportunity in refurbishment of the ice garden. We've been talking about it for a long time. That could either be just a quick kind of spruce up, or it could be actually a really extraordinary renovation of the ice garden, not just programming, but the architecture, it was designed by Fritz Benedict, and some of it has been covered up. Sorry, you kept me going on this stuff.
No, I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, it could be really, really exciting, terrific historic resource in town. Cozy Point we're looking at, we had a great master plan for Cozy Point, now we've run into some problems with the water. So we're kind of reevaluating, and this will be a very interesting exercise. What can we accomplish out of the master plan once we take a look at what's actually we can, in reality, do with the water systems? Anyway, there's lots of projects that are going, and as I said, there's some stability now to the funding because of the half penny in perpetuity, so we can go forward with a lot of these things.
Great, thanks.
Thank you for applying, and thank you for your service. We greatly appreciate it.
Sure, thank you.
Thanks, Ann.
Okay, just kind of going backwards through the list here. Ashley Fedderson has not shown up online or in person. Oh, she's not able to attend. I'm sorry, I have two different lists. One was the last minute, one was handed to me. And Roger Moyer is not here in person. We would now move on to Planning and Zoning Commission, and I see Linda Manning in the back. Come on up, Linda.
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
Great. How are you guys?
Doing very well, thank you. Thank you for sending in all your material and very extensive resume. It speaks very highly of you, how hard you work, and many different talents. Let me give you the opportunity to give us an introduction and why you'd like to serve on this board, what you think you'd bring to it, and then we'll open it up to questions.
Sure. Thank you. Well, really, since I've left the city 5 years ago, I've been looking for different opportunities to stay involved with the city. Mm-hmm. And so now I am applying for the Planning and Zoning Commission. I deal with building applications every day. We have yet to formally submit anything or go through an approval process on the P&Z board. I mean, we've been to City Council, Historic Preservation, so I understand the process. I understand what it takes to get an application through a board and get it approved and then get to the building permit stage and approved and have construction begin. So I understand that. I understand the land use code thoroughly. I still deal with it every day in my current job. I sat through 5 years worth of city council meetings and work sessions, so I've seen everything come through. I sat on the HPC board and the P&Z board, so I understand the process. I understand the requirements of the board. I have time and availability. I have an interest in this, particularly if there are going to be upcoming land use code rewrites with the AACP, maybe getting a look at, in the near future again. That all interests me greatly.
Thank you. Board member comments, questions?
Comments. I know she's well qualified and she lives here and she's obviously cares about the community. So thanks for applying, Linda.
Thank you, John.
Welcome.
Yeah. Sure. I just wanted to commend Linda. Nobody has been a more persistent and devoted applicant than Linda over the last 2 and something years that I've been in council, and so hopeful that we can get you in a role where you can serve our community. And we're so appreciative, I'm so appreciative of your persistence and your dedication.
I appreciate that.
Sam?
Yeah, it's a high time we got you on the board. This one seems perfect
Thank
for you.
Linda, I'm just kind of wondering, with your professional work so closely associated with applying for building permits and other development approvals, do you feel you'd be conflicted out a lot? Or, I mean, this could affect your potential clients that you'd either have to turn down or not serve during their discussions?
No, really, I only have one client. And like I said, we have one thing that eventually will come to P&Z, but most of what we do is a city council or HPC. So, I mean, I cannot see myself having to recuse myself more than any other person.
Okay, well, that may be some pretty major development, though. Who is the client you're concerned?
Well, I work directly for Mark Hunt, so that's, yeah, everything I would do would be something that we would bring forth.
Okay, thank you. I was going to ask, even prior to this discussion, but would you consider something like the Board of Adjustments? Because they have 4 regular and 1 alternate opening. And that's a board that we're really having challenges making sure we have a quorum, and we do have a number of other good applicants on P&Z.
So initially, I applied for the LLA again, and I got an email from the clerk's office saying, hey, we've had a hard time getting a quorum for P&Z. Would you consider applying for that? So on Thursday, I changed my application to P&Z. So.
But would you consider a Board of Adjustment?
Sure. You know, I would do anything. You know, I work with the folks on that board. I know the other board members very well, so. I mean, I am just happy to be involved.
Okay, well, that is a true community spirit, and appreciate that very much. Anybody else have any questions or comments? No? Again, thank you for applying. We appreciate your time and your willingness to give us your time.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
Okay, I saw Roger slip in, and we are moving a little quickly, Roger, because a number of people had to withdraw or were unable to make it, so we're going to call you right up for HPC interview.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We all have received your resume, information, and a very storied career in both HPC, skiing, and the community. I appreciate that very much. We've been kind of opening up by giving people a few minutes to introduce why they would like to serve on the board, or changes they'd like to see, or anything, comments as to why you're reapplying, and then we'll open it up to board questions.
Well, as you know, I was here when it was formed. And I've spent now over 20 years, not continuously, but off and on. It's been exciting. It's been frustrating. It's been elating. It's been immensely sad. And it's fun to contribute something in a community. And it's the one thing I probably am helpful for the board because of my background and the business that I have, and the years I've had restoring historic properties. So why not continue as long as I'm healthy enough and capable enough to do so?
I believe you're both those things. So any other board members, questions?
No, nice to see you, Roger. Thanks for your service. Appreciate it.
You rock. Thanks.
If you'd like a comment, well, maybe I shouldn't say too much.
Tomorrow.
I'll withhold my comment on the armory.
I was going to say, it wouldn't be any sort of real conflict, but we don't want to cross any wires with comments and then ability to vote later, which you'll want to have on that HPC board, so it's best. Silence is golden sometimes.
I think I first met you at an HPC.
Actually, I do have one comment.
Okay.
In the long history of dealing with HPC, we've made a lot of changes, and we allowed people to buy a historic property, lift it up, put a basement underneath, and then add something to it. And the perception is in the community that a lot of the add to its are very large. And when people come up and give us a hard time about that, what we tell them is, look, the council a long time ago allowed a certain amount of square footage. And I think looking back on the history of it all, I think the square footage has been way too much allowed. If it had been kept a little less, the implications, the negative implications to the historic structure would in fact be less. So that might be something you could consider for the future, but gosh, we don't have many left that haven't been modified to some extent. It's probably too late. But I think that's the one thing that we, in the past, did not make a good decision about.
I can appreciate that. 24 years ago, when I was mayor, we actually had introduced a bit of a downzoning on some of the size of mostly the non-conforming lots and lots that had been annexed into the city and weren't the proper small lots. And it was a kind of a TDR program, so their growth could go somewhere else where more appropriate. But that was then reversed by Mayor Clanderwood's council not very long after. And I think we used to do neighborhood meetings periodically in different sets of neighborhoods and neighborhood homes when Steve Barwick was manager. And that conversation, that question was something I would always ask. What do you guys think about this? It was the monster home discussion. And you got to a point where almost all the residents who would bother to attend the meetings would say, you know, it's too late to close the barn door. That would seem to be just punishing us, the last people who still haven't done something with our house to reduce floor area ratio. But so similar to what you're saying, that most of them have gone the path of their own restoration already.
There is currently an immediate frustration. I don't know if you've noticed, but in the last 5 years, every project is painted white. So we have the historic structure and we have the addition to, all the same color. Materials are somewhat similar, and it's, I think for the layperson, it's much more difficult to differentiate between the two. And I don't know what you do about that. I mean, obviously, we want to tell people what they paint their house, but in the design community, we have the whitening of Aspen. So I'm figuring, when I started my business, I was known for Victorian color schemes back in the 60s and 70s. So I'm thinking maybe in 10 years, I'll get to do all those Victorian color schemes over again.
What is old is new again, always.
Right?
Exactly.
Like bell bottoms.
There is a lot of white in the West End.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about house color.
Yeah. Very good. Well, thank you very much for reapplying and your continued service. We appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks. And I suppose I should have said this sooner, but we're not going to make council decisions at this time. We're really just doing the interviews. And we will be discussing those at a future work session and try to get back to you one way or the other in the next couple of weeks. But it's not an immediate decide on the spot right now and discuss that. We're just trying to hear from everyone. So we now are going to go on to Dewana Jersky.
Deanna.
Oh, Diana?
Deanna.
Your skis.
Yeah, this is spelled differently on this than it was on my own court. Deanna. Let's look at that.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
Dewana.
It was spelled wrong on this sheet. It was spelled right on
Even
my.
if it's spelled right, it's
Yeah.
usually, I wouldn't expect you to get the pronunciation right, especially my last name.
Thank
Hi.
you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for your resume and jumping right in as you put it, relatively new resident of the community. But it doesn't take that long to understand the heartbeat of the town. Give you a few minutes to introduce yourselves and push out a few highlights and tell us why you'd like to serve on P&Z.
Sure. So again, my name is Diana Yushkis. And more broadly, I think civic engagement is really important, and the decisions made on a local level often impact our day-to-day lives a lot more than even what's happening on the national level. And so having a voice and kind of shaping our community would just be an honor. And then more specifically, P&Z
is well aligned with my background. I'm an interior designer. I work at POS Architecture, Interior Design. And my design school background was also, it was called environmental design, but environmental when the program was established in the mid-century, it had a little bit of a different meaning. But it was like the environment that surrounds you. And so we had this very holistic approach to design, and that I think is very, lines up well with P&Z. We zoomed out, we took the entire context into consideration. We would approach design projects with this like leave no stone unturned approach, and really think about the experience. Like, how does our built environment shape our experience as we move through it?
Thank you very much. Are you familiar with the code at all for the planning and zoning or the
Somewhat.
residential design standards?
Yeah, somewhat. Obviously, I work at an architecture studio, but being an interior designer, we have slightly less of that. Usually our architects actually submit for permit, but I am involved in the process, so somewhat.
Thank you. Questions from this side of the table?
No, I think you'd be great.
I have a strong feeling you know how often meetings are held and when.
Yes, I forgot if it was Tuesday or Wednesday evenings, twice a month.
It's because it just switched.
But okay.
From Tuesday to Wednesday.
Got it. But my office is literally across the street, so I'd have no excuse to miss it or be late.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions?
Oh, thanks for applying. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you very much. I do have a question, and I'm sorry. These are going quicker than usual. How are you at saying no? There's often a lot of pressure in a planning and zoning committee.
I think that ultimately, I know that planning and zoning is so much about this really tricky balance between preservation and development, and there's a lot of nuance and subtlety to that. I can say no if I really strongly think it's a no. But I understand that it kind of lives in this gray, like we literally live in that gray area. So I think it's very project dependent.
I guess it would have been better phrased on my part by saying, how well do you deal with pressure?
I feel like I'm good at remaining calm under pressure.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Max? I'm not even going to try the last name, Tarjan?
Pretty good, Rachel.
Right. Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Okay. And in looking over all the resumes, I need to make a small declaration. My husband works at the Maroon Creek Club for the golf course. I've talked to the city attorney, and he does not feel there's any undue influence here of me continuing to participate in planning and zoning discussions and debates. It's a summer-only job. It's not year-round. And you are his boss, though. So I did want to...
He does a great job.
Put that out there. Yeah, everyone likes Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And if anybody else has any objections, I can try to answer those. So as you've seen the process unfold a little bit, we have your resume, and you had expressed kind of people tell you it's good, you'd be good at it, but it is a very demanding board for pressure and being able to find that middle ground, as others have put it, between unlimited demand and limited resources in some ways. Would you like to tell us a bit about yourself and why you're applying?
Sure. So as Rachel said, I work at the Maroon Creek Club. I've been there for 13 years now. I've been here in the Valley since 2006 and been living in the city limits roughly 11 years. Community involvement, I used to coach the Aspen High School golf team as an assistant, and I did that for from 11 to 16 until my role at the club kind of increased, and I kind of lost some time. But now that I've settled into that role, I feel like I have a little more time to get back into community service, which was very great for me. It's a good way to make connections in the city and to give back as well.
Thank you. Anyone have a lead-off question?
Sure. Thanks for applying, Max. I appreciate it. What's your specific interest in P&Z? Why'd you choose that board?
The specific interest mostly is because, while I'm in town and there's a lot of projects going on, I just feel like P&Z would be a good fit for me. It's a strong balance between enforcing code and approving variances. And I think at my job, with the people I deal with at work, those skills would apply very nicely. When Rachel just asked Deanna about tactfully saying no, that's something I have to do a lot in my job. So I thought my skills would transfer very well there.
Got it. And speaking of skills, what's your ability to read architectural plans, surveys, things like that?
I don't have a background in any of that. A lot of that will come from, learning. I can get a little bit of help from, obviously just seeing it and reading the packets and seeing that over and over again. But yeah, that would be something I'd certainly be learning.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much. Other questions?
I don't have any.
Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you all.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Richard?
I wonder if I can make an opening statement.
Yes, thank you very much. We have read your resume and appreciate you applying.
Madam Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. My name is Richard Jingyu Lai. I was born in Beijing in pre-communist China to a career foreign service officer for China and later for Taiwan, and a career Chinese social worker. Under my father's diplomatic auspices, I have lived in New Zealand, Fiji, Canada, pre-communist Cuba, Mexico, and of course the United States. As I noted in my curriculum vitae already submitted, I have both a bachelor's with high honors and a master's degree in architecture from Princeton, as well as a PhD in urban and regional planning from the University of Pennsylvania, both Ivy League schools and widely regarded as the top schools in their fields. I have previously served on both the Planning Commission and Historic Preservation Commission of the City of Aspen, and now wish to serve again. My most visible accomplishment, I believe, for Aspen was the establishment of the pedestrian malls, which was suggested by my graduate thesis at Princeton. Over the years, I became a professor of architecture and city planning at the University of Texas at Austin and Arizona State University, where I served as the architecture school chairman and created a very successful and groundbreaking program in housing and urban development. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Sam, did you have a question?
Well, first off, I just wanted to lay praise on you and say I've seen your drawings for the armory and seen a lot of your emails, and I appreciate them a ton. Yeah, I think it's tremendous work, and I guess the only real question is, before the meeting, we saw that you might be willing to serve on HPC instead of P&Z. Is that something that
I would prefer to be on P&Z.
You would? Okay.
If necessary, I'll serve on historic preservation.
Okay.
I've served on both before.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Bill,
No,
any questions?
echo Sam's comments. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks. When did you serve on P&Z previously?
Oh, it was several years ago. I can't even remember it, but it was a long time ago. I enjoyed that work, and so here I am applying again.
Coming back for more.
Thanks. Are you in town enough, or do you still travel a bit?
I'm committed to stay in Aspen. I do have a home in Los Alamos, New Mexico, but if I'm given the opportunity to serve, I will serve. Absolutely, I won't go back to New Mexico unless there was a real emergency.
Well, they only meet every 2 weeks, so you could travel in between. But very good. Any further questions? Oh, John?
I want to ask some questions about pre-communist Cuba, but I won't.
Well,
I just want to echo what Sam said. I really appreciate your enthusiasm for repurposing the Armory. Thank you for...
well, I was in Cuba before it turned communist. So, and there I learned to speak some Spanish. I also have a little bit of Italian because I took students to Italy. So, and I speak 2 dialects in Chinese. I'm Chinese, incidentally.
You've literally been all over the world.
Thank you very much. And as I said before, we're not going to make any decisions at this time. We're going to have a chance to review these and discuss it at a future work session. So
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then we come back to, I'm sorry, pronouncing these names terribly today. Oh, no. Dan Mitchells for Open Space and Trails. Do you want to speak to us on that one as well? As the Rec Arc Center. Welcome. Thank you for applying for citizen duty here in Aspen. We appreciate that. Would you like to tell us a little about your open space and trails interest as well?
Being an avid trail user in the city of Aspen, Pickens County, and all of the other surrounding towns, I frequent them a lot. I mountain bike, I trail run, I hike. I love being outdoors, go birding, identifying wildflowers, finding that fairy slipper that's hidden up on Smuggler. It's those kinds of things that I thoroughly enjoy about Aspen, and that is what initially drew me to trying to find a position in the valley. This is the pinnacle of outdoor recreation, and it's the premier valley in the state of Colorado. This is where recreation thrives, and I just want to be a part of it. I want to be able to be involved in the conversation of preserving, conserving, and providing that access to everybody.
Thank you very much for that. Board members, do you have any questions along these lines? I just want to say I think that there certainly is a huge chunk of that in the Open Space and Trails Board. But as you may have heard from other discussions a little earlier, it also has a lot to do with how we manage the malls and the other open spaces that are just more recreational fields, volleyball courts and baseball diamonds and things like that. So there's actually a little connection with the ARC in that sense. And I don't know what the final decision of the board would be, but I can see you could bring a good skill set to either, and even maybe make a little more connection between the ARC and the other outdoor recreation programs we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it doesn't work out this time around, in 2 years or whenever it becomes available, I will be happy to apply again. And
I think something will work out.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
And that was The only one we'll have to do in the future is Ashley Feddersen, who was just not able to attend this meeting at this time.
She doesn't want to re-interview. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Withdraw.
She wants to be on the board, she just didn't want to come to the interviews.
Oh.
She's reapplying.
Okay, I just have not able to attend on this sheet, but,
Half true.
okay, we'll take a look at that. I think that's the bulk of the body of our work session today, guys. We get out a little bit early.
A little bit.
Yeah, which is nice. I did want to mention one thing, though, since we do have a couple moments. You know, looking at our future agendas on work session schedules, we're going to have some pretty meaty topics. The demo permits, STR policies, probably a couple other ones. And I'm thinking, and I know this is an ambitious council, I know we want to move things along as best we can, and as staff is ready to make full presentations and such. So I'm thinking that there's going to be a number of these work sessions where we'll need to just kind of plan it's 4 to 7 instead of 4 to 6. I'd asked Pete if there was an expectation that they always end at 6 or not, and he said no, they just kind of, you know, there was no real rules on it. So I just wanted to let you know that, you know, we're going to try to have some very focused topics. And if there's you know, a short little 10 or 15 minute thing we do first and get that done and then have the longer meeting, but just so we kind of, you know, we can tell by the agendas, but some of the meetings will be more like till 7 o'clock, and we'll try to make it a real hard stop at 7 o'clock, so you get home for dinner and things like that. We won't be bringing in snacks, but just kind of wanted to preview that. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
The more material we can get in advance, the more efficient those meetings.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Shout
And
out to city manager, that was a cool brief we got this week.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you so much.
thank you.
I have a quick question about, since we just did interviews for boards and commissions, currently there's no, boards or commissions have to set up a meeting with city council or a work session, correct, to have any back and forth. Having served on a number of these, I know one of the recurring themes is that city council does not get to communicate with boards and commissions enough, and we have a lot of very talented people serving on these boards. Is there any
We could
way
start
to-
working that into our work
Yeah.
session schedule.
maybe put them all on one night and just hear a report from each of them to hear what's going on, or some,
Let me think about the
okay.
formatting a little bit, but that's a great idea, Christine. I think that, you know, when they're here, they probably want to have a little more of a dialogue than being all packed on one night. But we could maybe do 2 or 3 on a night, you know, maybe related topics, related boards.
Yeah, light work sessions, maybe we could use that as a filler.
Yeah, we'll have to see their schedule, you know, of course, that they can all make it when we tell them we'd like to see them, but that's a great idea. We can
Or
move that forward.
twice a year, one-pager executive summary report, something like that from them could be good too.
Yeah.
I think the risk is if you have one person speaking on behalf of their whole board who feels differently about something.
Right.
So if it was in a written format, at least
They've all
draft
agreed
of that,
and signed on it,
right,
off on it.
there could be an opportunity for a vote on that draft prior to it coming to us.
Yeah.
One thought.
I'm kind of 50-50 on that, because kind of thinking about it, because sometimes there's like a small issue that you write it out, it becomes a molehill becomes a mountain, as opposed to having a dialogue and saying, hey, we can look into that, let's work with that. So let's all sit on that a little bit, but it's a great suggestion, and we're all trying to build more cohesive and actionable relationships with all our boards. So sounds good to me. Thanks. All right. Thank you, Grassroots TV, and everyone else. We appreciate you being here and keeping the live stream running.